Like the hotel itself, this final episode of the Continental tries to go out with a bang, yet doesn't quite manage to hit its mark. In this final episode, Winston and his allies take on the Continental in a desperate attempt to kill Cormac and claim his hotel for themselves. And if there's one thing this episode delivers on, it's the action scenes, as it's clear that they have saved the best for last. The highlight of this series is the final confrontation between our heroes and the twins, Hansel and Gretel, in one last fight to the death. The slick, fast-paced action is definitely in line with what we've come to expect from the John Wick films, and the twins themselves are a clear reference to The Matrix, with their black leather trench coats and heavy use of martial arts during combat. This final encounter with the twins is easily the best part of the series, yet doesn't quite justify having to sit through the entire season. Where this episode really starts to fall apart is with its stakes, or should I say lack thereof, since the actual process of storming the Continental felt far too easy for our heroes. The previous episodes made a point to emphasize just how suicidal this mission actually was, and how many of the characters likely wouldn't survive. And while I wasn't expecting a Rogue One sort of ending where every main character dies, I expected at least more than just the comic relief to be killed off by the end. Yet in this assault on the most dangerous hotel in New York, the good guys only lose one named character, with everyone else miraculously managing to see this mission through to the end. To me, this really diminished the threat posed by the Continental, and made the assassins inside feel like a joke. While Winston did have an army of homeless people helping him, they were more active in the background, and we don't really see them all that often, making their presence feel very minimal in this assault. It left this episode feeling like it was stuck inside of a box that it couldn't escape. We all know that Winston has to become manager of the hotel, but there wasn't really a realistic way of making that happen that felt natural. And so the army of homeless people are just there to explain why it's so easy for them to actually take the hotel. I would have liked to see this homeless army play a larger role in the attack on the hotel, instead of just seeing them free Winston once and then just sort of seeing them occasionally in the background throughout the episode. It doesn't really feel like they have a presence and are just there to explain away why it's so easy for Winston to take the hotel. Another odd decision that this episode takes is with the detective character, KD. This episode tries to have a big reveal with her character. We are told that she is the child who survived Winston and Frankie's attack when they were children, and that the flashback we see of them as children in episode 2 is what ended up killing her parents and sending her out on this quest for vengeance. However, by the time we actually learn all of this, it felt like it just came out of nowhere. Like they didn't have anything else to do with this character, and so they just slapped on a lazy backstory that would tie her to Winston in some way. But it didn't feel like there was proper setup for this. To me, her character felt more like the rookie detective trying to prove herself by taking down the Continental, without knowing that the entire police department was already in league with the hotel. So to me, her character actually having a vendetta against Winston and his brother this entire time felt like it came out of nowhere, and didn't really lead to any interesting places for either of these characters. This episode also ties up the conflict between Lou and the crime organization that runs Chinatown, in a way that left this side plot feeling like a complete waste of time. The only resolution we receive from this storyline is about Lou's father, who we never actually saw because he's dead before the series even starts. This season never did enough to actually get me to care about the dojo plotline, and was constantly hinting that there was some darker past to Lou's father the entire season. So when we get the revelation that he wasn't just a martial artist, but also used a gun, I just didn't care. I don't care that a character that we have never seen before and was dead before this series even started, used a gun to build up the empire that he would later pass on to his children. But perhaps the worst part of this revelation is that all of the repercussions are promised to pay off in the next season. Because, of course, this couldn't just be a simple standalone season explaining how Winston got the hotel. No, of course they're going to continue it, even though I don't think anyone ever wanted this story to begin with. And this series really didn't make me care about these characters enough to see another season starring them. But I guess that explains why pretty much everyone survives the assault on the hotel, as they need to be saved for season 2. Personally, with how disappointed I was with this season, I don't really care to see another season with these characters or continuing this story, though it seems like the next season will try to explain how Winston manages to keep the hotel now that the High Table are onto him. But personally, I don't really care to see the continuation of this story. It wasn't something I was really interested in when this series was first announced, and having now seen this first season, it really didn't do enough to justify the story or do anything to make me actually care about these characters. While this final episode may have had some great action, everything else about this series wasn't really that enjoyable. While I personally wasn't convinced that we needed a deeper exploration into the world of John Wick after the conclusion of the fourth film, it is clear that the studios have no intent of stopping here, and will likely continue to drag out this world again and again until it proves not to be successful. Although time will tell if they actually manage to learn from their mistakes that they made with this series and improve upon any future entries into this world of John Wick. But as for this first season of the Continental, it turned out exactly as I thought it would. A hollow idea using a bigger brand's name to sell itself when it has nothing going for it. But these have just been my thoughts after this final episode of the Continental. What did you think? Did you enjoy this deeper look into the world of John Wick, or were you also left feeling rather disappointed? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, thanks for watching.